Attention, passionate Dallas Cowboys fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East, and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Dallas Cowboys' path to another championship run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before we dive in, if you're a true Dallas Cowboys fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and fellow Dallas Cowboys fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, if you've been following the Cowboys this season, you know it's been a roller coaster. Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos was supposed to be a real litmus test to see where this team truly stands. And honestly, it was a sobering experience. The Cowboys went into that game with hopes of making a statement, but what we saw on the field was a stark reminder of the challenges they face. Falling 44-24 to the Broncos, especially when the game was essentially over midway through the third quarter, really put things into perspective. It's one thing to lose a close game, but this was a blowout, and it exposed some glaring issues that can't be ignored. That kind of result, for a team with playoff aspirations, raises serious questions about where this squad is heading. And let us be honest, the loss didn't just sting because of the score. It was a wake-up call about the defense, which has been a concern all season long, but Sunday's performance made it painfully clear that there are cracks that need urgent fixing. The Broncos, who had been struggling offensively coming into this game, erupted for 44 points, racking up 426 yards and averaging an astonishing 7.5 yards per play. That kind of efficiency against a defense that was supposed to be a strength is a nightmare scenario for any Cowboys fan. It has a clear indication that the defensive issues are not just minor hiccups, they are fundamental problems that threaten to derail the entire season. And let us talk about the broader picture here. The Cowboys, despite their high hopes and a roster full of talent, are now sitting at 3-4-1, which puts them at 10th in the NFC. That's a tough spot to be in, especially considering how competitive the conference is this year. They are 5 games behind the 49ers, who hold the third wild card spot with a 5-3 record, and even further behind the likes of the Bears and Panthers, both of whom have better records and hold tiebreakers over Dallas. It's not impossible to climb back into playoff contention, but it's clear that every game now feels like a must-win, and the margin for error is razor-thin. What makes this situation even more frustrating is the looming trade deadline on November 4th. The team's management has to make some tough choices. Do they go all in and try to bolster the defense, or do they hold onto their draft assets and gamble on growth? The Cowboys have 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years, and those picks could be gold mines for acquiring top-tier talent if used wisely. But the question is whether this front office is willing to make those bold moves, especially after a game like Sunday's. Some might argue that given the defensive struggles and the evident holes at edge rusher, linebacker, cornerback, safety, and defensive tackle, the Cowboys should consider making a move. It's tempting to think about adding a veteran or two to shore up the defense, but with the current state of the roster and the coaching staff's approach, especially on the defensive side, it's complicated. Let us pause here for a second. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Dallas Cowboys news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let's continue with the big reveal. Now, despite the tough loss and the undeniable issues, Jerry Jones, the owner, has been quite clear in his stance. He mentioned that the result from Sunday wouldn't influence their approach to the trade deadline. That's a bold statement, especially considering the state of the team. Jones said, "A loss is discouraging, but as far as my temperament, if I saw a proposition for us to help this team, no matter what this score was today, then I would look at it on the merits of helping this team." That's basically a green light for aggressive moves, right? But the real question is whether the front office is willing to pull the trigger. Because let us face it, making a splash isn't easy, especially when the defense is as inconsistent and vulnerable as it has been. The problem is that even if they add a player or two, will that be enough? The defense right now looks like a shell of what it could be. There is a lack of pass rush, coverage issues at every level, and a general inability to stop opposing offenses when it matters most. And that raises doubts about whether this coaching staff, particularly on the defensive side, can turn things around quickly. The hire of Eberflus was supposed to fix the issues, but so far it has been quite the opposite. The Cowboys need help at multiple positions: edge rusher, linebacker, cornerback, safety, defensive tackle. It has a laundry list of needs, and addressing all of them in the next few weeks seems like an uphill battle. And let us not forget, even if they do bring in new talent, the question remains, do we really trust Eberflus to put players in a position to succeed? That's a lingering concern for many fans. The defensive scheme has often looked disjointed, and this past Sunday was a prime example. The Broncos scored at will, and it was almost as if the Cowboys' defense was caught flat-footed, unable to adjust or contain the offense. This isn't just about talent. Coaching and scheme are equally critical, and right now those are major question marks. On the offensive side, things aren't perfect, but they're still good enough to make the playoffs if the defense can hold its own. The offense has shown flashes of brilliance, and with the return of some key players, there's a belief that they can keep pushing forward. But as the schedule toughens up, especially with matchups against teams like the Eagles, Bills, and Dolphins looming, the margin for error shrinks even further. The upcoming games against the Cardinals and Raiders are crucial. They could be the difference between staying afloat or sinking deeper into the standings. If the Cowboys can take at least one of those games, they'll enter the tougher stretch with a bit more confidence. But even then, the defense will need to tighten up considerably. What does all this mean for the future? Well, it's clear that the Cowboys are at a crossroads. The season didn't end on Sunday, but that game was a harsh reminder that they have some serious issues to address. The defense, which was supposed to be a strength, has turned into a liability at the worst possible time. The offense, while capable, can carry the team alone. The question is whether Jerry Jones and the front office will be bold enough to make moves that might shake things up, whether that's trading away some future assets to bring in help or making a coaching change if they believe that's necessary. In the larger picture, this season has been a roller coaster. The Cowboys started strong with high hopes and expectations, but injuries, inconsistency, and some strategic missteps have slowed down their momentum. Still, there's plenty of talent and resilience in this team. They've shown they can score points and compete at a high level, but the defense needs to evolve quickly. The NFC is crowded, and a few bad games or injuries could derail their playoff hopes entirely. That's why every decision from now until November 4th will be scrutinized heavily by fans and analysts alike. And let us not forget the history of this franchise. The Dallas Cowboys have always been about resilience, about bouncing back when the odds are stacked against them. They've faced tough seasons before and found ways to turn things around. The question now is whether this current squad has that same fighting spirit. Do they have the leadership, the coaching, and the internal drive to dig deep and find solutions? Or are they heading toward a season of disappointment, with fans left wondering what could have been? The NFL is unpredictable, and no team is out of the race until it's truly over. But the signs are clear. The Cowboys need to act fast. Whether that's through trades, scheme adjustments, or simply a rallying cry in the locker room, they can afford to sit back and hope everything sorts itself out. The upcoming weeks are critical, and the choices made now could define the rest of their season and even their long-term trajectory. Fans are hoping for a turnaround, for a resurgence led by strategic moves and renewed confidence. In the end, this season is shaping up to be a test of character, of leadership, and of resilience. The Cowboys have the talent, but do they have the commitment and the clarity to fix their issues before it's too late? That's what everyone is watching, waiting to see. And as always, the hope remains alive in Dallas. Hope that they can turn this around, that they can make the right moves, and that they'll be competing for a Super Bowl once again. But it's going to take more than just talent. It's going to require guts, smart decisions, and a little bit of that Dallas magic that we all love. And now, Dallas Cowboys fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Dallas Cowboys. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Dallas Cowboys news.